We sign up to die, to go on a show to entertain people.
People using the word crazy.
I'm trolling society and testing society with my behavior.
Today we're with Gary Golding, taking time out of his very busy schedule. You just came back from Australia, right, Gary?
I did, yes.
You were filming with Jeff, right? Who's also another Naked and Afraid alumni.
Yeah, well, we were actually taking people on an adventure to Australia. It was we were kind of hosting and guiding them on a tour in Australia.
Oh, that's got to be amazing. Was it like a private, or were you filming?
No, it was private. I filmed some fun stuff, but it wasn't filming for like a show.
Yeah. So for people who may not be totally familiar with you, you are also known as the Tarzan of Los Angeles, which is an easy way to find you online. Actually, easier to find you that way if you're looking for a website or social media. Also, you are working with nonprofits. You're rescuing animals. From what I understand, you're teaching and lecturing about nature and conservation of nature. Seems like you're just all around really trying to do something good for the earth, which is like so important. I don't think there's a lot of people dedicating themselves. Many people may, like, as your shirt is going to say, consume as little as possible, which you also have tattooed on your back, which you did tattoo on your back. Yeah, yeah, which you tattooed on your back specifically when you went on Naked and Afraid, correct?
Yes, indeed. I am the only survivalist that is allowed to wear his logo on his clothing because they believe in it. And then, so in my very first episode, you see me with this shirt on.
Yeah.
And then when I knew that I was going to be bigger, when they invited me to do an XL, um, uh, then I went and had it tattooed on my back because I believed in it so much. Because I was filming in Brazil on my first one, and then they asked me to go to Africa, which those two are countries or continents or whatever you want to call it, countries that are being exploited for their resources. And it just like the universe threw me a gift. It made so much sense to infiltrate mainstream media with a message for the world telling you not to buy stuff as they're trying to sell you stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're a pretty big deal in the survival community. You are a legend of Naked and Afraid, which, in my opinion, is the most extreme show you can actually go and compete on as far as survival is concerned. And you have done it in so many different ways, in so many different situations, and in my opinion, have been one of the standout people to actually watch. And you're such a great risk taker. But that my first question for you really is that in a world where people are so reserved and worried about every little thing, you are living proof that one can live freely and maximize the experience of their time here on Earth. Was this always how you were, or is it something that you just realized over time?
Well, that's a good question because here's how that works. It's something that I um, always was, but when that's just what you are, so then on top of it, I realized how much I was like that in hindsight over time because I wouldn't realize I was like that until time passed for me to look back and see how much I was like that. My level, what makes me who I am is my level of defiance and rebellion. And that is what, uh, and
Who
that is what um, kind of makes me function the way I do is my level of defiance and rebellion, something within me. And so even when I teach children, I tell people, or even adults, I tell them, I'm here to teach you that you're allowed to be more free than you've been taught.
Yeah.
In other words, if you're locked into the Rockefeller school system, which programs you to be a worker and a slave and to listen to people in lab coats and uniforms, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to
Yeah.
think for yourself.
Well, interestingly enough, you were in a rock band called Too Loose for many, many years, and if when I was going deep on who you are, you see pictures of you doing just absolutely wild things. One, you were doing backflips off of crazy things and risking probably breaking your legs several times, but also I saw pictures of you literally hanging from buildings. like
Yeah,
hanging from
20-story buildings I would hang by my fingertips to promote my band, and if I was to slip, I would die.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I've always risked my life and my limb. But it's so funny to go back um, from a childhood before it was documented, because that was documented in a with a band where I'm filmed doing triple flips off of piers,
yeah,
and before I ever heard the word parkour, backflips off of 12-foot trucks onto concrete. And
yeah, I've seen
so,
videos.
yeah, so basically what I'm getting at, it makes today, even on Naked and Afraid, I'm risking my, because we sign up to die and to get diseases. So I'm risking my life to go on a show to entertain people to this day. But I found a way to really carry a message while I do it and bring attention to something positive, because I didn't want to squander it. And even when I was in the band, I was always a man with carrying a message. I had a voice, and I used that voice to sort of teach in a way. And that's why I'm a teacher. I'm naturally, to be a teacher, you have to be entertaining. You have to keep the children interested. So I'm naturally a
Yeah,
teacher now.
you're
Um,
extremely captivating.
oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, even on Naked and Afraid, what appears to be crazy, a lot of people that I sort of troll and test society. So you may think I'm crazy when your civilization mindset, because you won't eat maggots, but you're watching a science class because you know how much knowledge you have to be able to eat maggots. So you have to know that water at boiling is 212, that meat needs to be cooked to 165 in a restaurant to be served. Like you're witnessing a scientist, but I do it in such a crazy fun way. You might not even know you're watching a teacher and a scientist. And I do that on purpose. And there's a really good scene in XL4 where I look in the camera and I say, and this, I wanted to capture this and put it out there. I got to go get it. And I say, first, you act crazy, then you get their attention. And then after you act crazy and get their attention, then you tell them what you need them to hear. Here I am, the wildest, craziest guy on a show, Naked and Afraid, because I am the wildest one out there. But there is classes being given now: how to harvest
But
beehives, how to
but, but Gary,
harvest eggs, how to.
if I can just interrupt you there, because one of the things that I see on Naked and Afraid, especially with your character, is people using the word crazy or child or things like that, which, in my opinion, is extremely disrespectful to your character and what you're actually out there doing. And for me, I don't, I mean, it doesn't seem like it bothers you so much, but for me, I really think that people calling you crazy is extremely dismissive and is not really acknowledging what you're actually doing out there, which is like you're out there showing people, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, what you're doing there is showing people that the limitations you have that you've set for yourself are only set by you and yourself. And if you push yourself past the boundaries of your limitations, pretty much anything is possible. I mean, for sure, it has cost you in situations where you were taking big risks, but at the same time, that is the risk, right? I mean, taking a risk comes with a risk, and you being willing to do that is something that I don't see anybody else on the show doing, period. And I've seen every episode of that show. Um, does it bother you when people say things like that, like that you're crazy or that you're a child, or because you're
Well, I
obviously
have to be
not?
aware that I have to be aware that I bring that on myself. And I'll give you, that's funny you say that. So I'm highly sought after as a teacher to 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, all ages. But
Yeah.
most of my students are like 5 and 6 years old, sometimes 3-year-olds. And these parents turn me loose with their 3-year-olds and their 5-year-olds by myself uh, in the outdoors, and to teach them. Now, what I like to convey is
That's huge.
that's how trusted I am
That's
by
huge.
people that know me. So I have a saying, and the saying goes, people that don't know me would wonder why you would let me know where you live. People that know me well want me with their children. So the point that I'm getting across is I'm trolling society and testing society with my behavior, because I consider you to have a higher intellect if you actually realize what you're learning and you could see through the crazy. The crazy is sort of a test, and to see if you can even have the intellect to see through it and see what you're seeing. So I'm highly aware of it, and I bring it on myself, and I tell the mothers whose children I teach, I say, hey, look, people are going to be like that guy's crazy, and and I said, but here's the deal, you guys know me well, so it's kind of our fun little secret that you guys get to have with me as I teach your children, because if you've seen me with children, you'll know I'm not crazy, and there's a reason why I'm sought after to do it.
Yeah. Well, quite honestly, you were there in relatively earlier on in the show when it started gaining actual popularity. But the thing is that the only thing that I kind of think is crazy is that you're actually willing to strip down naked on camera and go out and survive with a complete stranger. I do think that that concept is quite wild. What made you want to do what makes so many people want to strip down naked on television and have bugs crawling in their buttholes and biting their dicks? And I mean, it's really crazy that you're not protecting your genitals. I mean, even you've seen people getting Nutra itch. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. Who sliced their testicles open and got uh, their testicles stitched?
Oh, hey, EJ,
EJ, right?
on
EJ,
that same
EJ,
one,
EJ
the same
Snyder gets
one.
his testicles stitched up on what
Yeah.
what is the real thinking behind all of that?
Well, for me, I'm one of those guys that, like, say when Survivor came out, because of my lifestyle, where I got friends all the time telling me, man, you got to go on this show. You got to do this. I'm just one of those guys. And so TV has been kind of seeking me out a lot of my life.
Yeah,
So, like, Discovery years ago was talking to me about making a show about my life. Um, and that all came off of an audition for a show called like The Colony, I think, where they had to survive a post-apocalyptic situation. But then when they talked to me, I was so eccentric and so wild. They said, hey, we don't want you on this show, we want to make a show about you.
yeah,
So then time passed, but then they considered me kind of too radical, and they didn't think America was ready for me. So then time passed. I saved a life in in the ocean, and it went viral around the world. And someone looked me up and sought me out and said, hey, Gary, I work in TV now. I knew you a long time ago. We got to make a show about your life. So he started filming some of this footage of me to try to pitch to the networks. Then that took a dip. Then started working for Naked and Afraid. He started working for Naked and Afraid and said, dude, I got the perfect show for you. And you got to go on this. You'll get a name, and then we could work on the rest later.
yeah,
And so it's kind of been my personality and who I am. As you can see, I was in a band. I've been an entertainer my whole life. It's kind of very natural. It's second nature for me. And then a survivalist on top of it. So it kind of is this perfect storm that happened in life that kind of delivered me to this, because even a man with a message and everything,
yeah,
right? I mean, I couldn't have crafted this when I was younger and thought I would be the guy making a living naked off the land with a message for the world and being a teacher to children. I was a guy being like a rock star, a wild guy. And but that did have a message, but was just so good with children and teaching, that it kind of just it all kind of became this beautiful thing that happened very organically.
yeah. I mean, not to go so far off topic really quick, but what are your thoughts on God?
Oh, my thoughts on God. That's a lyric out of a song. What are your thoughts on God? But I believe in God, because uh, even if you believe in evolution and science or whatever, like say for example, the Big Bang Theory, what everything was created from nothing,
Yeah,
and then so uh, and the reason I believe in it is because the animals and the beauty around me. I've been dropped in a paradise from a child, and so I believe in God. I just won't claim to know exactly what it looks like, or or what everything really is in that area. So I just believe, because people have a thing with not knowing. They have to know. So that's where faith is so rooted. They have so much faith. They think that they know. I won't claim to know because I'm too honest. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Faith is not knowing either. Faith is just faith. So I don't know what God really entirely is. It's got to be too complex for me, but I do believe in a God, and I do believe in a higher power, and I do believe in good and evil for sure. And I really started believing in evil even more as more got unearthed about what's happening to children in this world.
And my question is too, is when you're out in these survival situations and you're just being mentally and emotionally and physically pushed to the limit, is there a stronger connection to that force, to that God? Is it
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, one thing you learn is nature is God. And what I mean by that is
right? I
you get
mean,
you get a little cut, that thing gets infected, you're dead. There you go. That's the decider. I mean, so like, and then it provides and it takes away, and it's more in control than you are.
yeah.
So
Do you believe that nature, like you hear a lot of people say, and I've never been on a level of like surviving like you guys do on the show, but I have through hiked large parts of the Appalachian Trail by myself, and I've definitely I grew up in the mountains, trailblazing and things like that. But always I felt like there was just a story being told by nature, one that we don't really get when we're surrounded by the buildings and things like that. And I think that one of the things I notice about you on the show is that you have a deep respect. It's not, sometimes people are like, oh, you're so crazy, you're doing this crazy thing, but it translates to me more that you have such a high level of respect for everything you're being given by nature. Even to the point where you're willing to eat animals that you stumble across that are no longer living.
yes, that okay, that so that I love that you say that and bring that up, because I'm going to tell you what, that's exactly my point. I have this sentence which really is telling the world to love this gift, no matter what you call it, the universe or God gave us. And so I tell people when they debate with me, I say I love nature, like even a vegan. I say I love animals more than you do. You know why? Because if I find a dead one, I'm not going to step over it and let it die for nothing. I'm going to use it for nourishment and honor that animal. And so, even the maggots. And so, what I'm trying to convey is that I'm the one survivalist out there that tries to deliver to the audience and to myself a true life or death situation. I will go down, because I have a saying that was used on XL4. It says, if you're not willing to eat maggots, you don't really want to survive. If you're
Yeah.
not willing to eat maggots, you're not really a survivalist.
Well,
Because
you were
if it
literally
comes,
eating handfuls of them, like they were popcorn. Uh,
yeah,
and
because if it comes to life or death, and you got maggots or death, you better eat the maggots. That's what, as a teacher, that's what I would teach. So yeah, I honor nature. I tell people I love nature so much that I will even um, nourish myself with the stuff that you won't touch.
yeah,
That's how much I love nature.
delicioso, right?
Uh, no, it's actually not ish, not that, it's delicioso.
You have a statement that I'm going to quote you saying is, if you love this place, why would you pollute it? It's from an interview that I watched that you were doing when you're addressing the motto, consume as little as possible. Can you just expound on that narrative? Because, I mean, again, I know people, you've spoken about it before, but I just thought, what a powerful statement. And your explanation of it in the depth there of like, if you love this place, why would you pollute it? Is just something I think is a good message for even one person in the world to hear that.
Okay, look, I could explain that. Now, off of this, now this is a very deep philosophy. If I broke it down for you, it's a very spiritual thing. And so within that, like let's say forms of spirituality, they have other little things that are in there. So I coined the term the evil trinity of tradition. And what that is is jewelry, balloons, and fireworks.
Yeah.
Because now, a lot of people don't know. When you know as much as I know about what goes into jewelry, I'm going to give you one example. So, all of the mercury poisoned people and water in fish in Colombia or the Amazon due to mining for gold.
Yeah.
Okay, something shiny. Then, number two, all of there's a balloon factory, a mylar balloon factory that manufactured 650 mylar balloons a day. Then
For
you
people
have
who don't know what mylar means, can you just briefly say what that
the
means?
balloons that are shaped like numbers and say "I love you, mother" for Mother's Day.
Okay.
And then there's the fireworks that are lit off for New Year's and 4th of July. Now, all of these three things are expressions of love when it comes to your mate, jewelry, or your mother, even. Then the balloons are for your children and for your mom on Mother's Day to express love. And
Yeah.
then are the fireworks are
Celebratory.
to express the fireworks are to express love for your country. So if you love something, why would you give your children balloons when in the future they have to live on a polluted planet? Because I've had parents tell me, well, because it makes them smile. And I'm thinking, wow. So don't you want them to smile in the future? It's really worth a
Yeah.
smile for one day. So what we've happened is this chimp brain of us, all you do with jewelry, you don't nourish yourself. You don't eat it. You don't do anything with it. You know what you do with it? You stare at it. You simply look at it. You don't do anything with those balloons. No good function comes from those balloons. You know what you do? You stare at it. Oh, you know those fireworks? You don't do anything good with them. There's nothing good done with those. You know
No,
what you do?
the
You go,
fireworks are pretty rough. Actually, my dad blew his eyeball out with a firework.
yeah. And so, no, but all you do is go like this. Oh,
Hmm.
so they're all three shiny things that we simply stare at that cause pollution all over the planet. That's why I call it the evil trinity of tradition, because it's tradition to do these things. And really, they pollute the planet. The fireworks, the cardboard, the gunpowder falls to the ground in the waterway, scares the animals, smoke in the air. Why? If you love something, and I will tell you why, and this is what I mean by I'm here to teach you that you're allowed to be more free than you've been taught, because you've been indoctrinated with the fact that you need a ring to get married. You need, and to express love. You need to get balloons to make your child smile. You need to light fireworks to express the love for your country. And you've been lied to because you're just polluting the crap out of everything around the ones that you love. If you love them, why would you even do that?
That's a heavy truth. And I think that thank God there's people like yourself delivering these kinds of truths because I've advocated for many things in the past. The thing is that people don't want to hear this stuff, Gary. Like ignorance is bliss, and the fact that people get to like Disneyland or Disney World, right? I wasn't there too long ago, and they are literally the trinity of what were you saying? The trinity of evil?
The evil trinity of tradition.
Yeah, that is literally Disney's like probably like their thesis, right? Right? Like
Jewelry, balloons, and fireworks.
yeah. And again, if you love this place, why would you pollute it? You know, one of the things that just drives me so terribly nuts, and I live in New Jersey in a highly populated area right next to Manhattan. You know what I see all the time? People just smoking cigarettes and just throwing the cigarettes at the earth. And for me, I swear to you, guy, it literally hurts my guts when I see people just throw their cigarette because it's like, fuck you to the earth. Like I feel that way. Like, okay, one thing you want to smoke a cigarette. Who gives a shit? Smoke away. But carry around something that you can throw your cigarette butts in or whatever. I mean, just the fact that you're just willing to just like throw your cigarette butt on the earth is so brutally hurtful to me. And everyone's doing it. And no one even thinks about it. No one
Well,
even.
and let me put it like this. If you're going to pollute your body and not give a crap about that, you definitely are not going to care about the earth. I'm going to tell you something about me. I don't drink, do drugs, smoke, vape, nothing, nothing. I don't do anything like that. So, and that's the thing about it. I've had people tell me, wow, you're the craziest guy on there. You would never guess that. And that's the thing. That's why I like to do this podcast with you. You'll get a good look. Now, it is hard. People get cognitive dissonance and they, like you said, they don't want to hear it. They're like, oh no, I don't want to hear it. You know how many dates I've ruined by telling women about diamonds?
Yeah.
And so they get up and storm off. They're like, well then, because they're so programmed that they're like, well then how do you express love? How do you get married? I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll drop 7 G's on a garden that'll nourish you and fight disease. Maybe that's real love. And
Yeah.
and like maybe I'll
Well,
give you
well,
an engagement garden, and so
okay,
so
well,
it's
one thing I just want to stop you real quick because you just mentioned a question that I had for you coming up, which is you just mentioned I'll make a $7,000 garden for you. And one of the things that I heard you say in an interview that I also thought was absolutely amazing is how people have these huge lawns and front yards and all this grass and they're not doing shit with it. Um, can you talk a little bit about that sentiment where you're like you have all this grass and land, you're not farming on it, it's good soil, it's good dirt, and you had mentioned even like why can't I use your front lawn to plant a garden? It was kind of the sentiment you were portraying there.
yes. So here's the deal. Um, I live in California. Food drips from the trees. Okay. Now right here, you probably can't see it. I don't know if you see that school of fish in the water.
I can see actually, yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see
Okay.
there I could see them.
I ate one of those yesterday. I went and speared it. Um, then, me and a 7-year-old boy ate it together on one of my tours. Then, oh, look, look, this thistle, this thistle. Then, oh, right here.
This is crazy.
Look,
This is just within a stone's throw of where you are.
look, those dandelions.
Yeah.
Okay, watch dandelion. Okay, now watch. I'm not done. I'm gonna show you something else. So I'm gonna get my point across right here. Um, I live in California. Food drips from the land. Oh, right here, right here. Mm,
What was that?
natal plum, natal plum. Um, so
Do you know what's also
another,
extremely interesting is not that you're just walking around doing that, but the fact that you know exactly where all those things are just shows your attentiveness to your environment and your surroundings.
okay, now, hey, another thing I'm gonna tell you. In this harbor, I'm actually the bee removal guy. So here's here's what I'm going to convey to you. I don't buy produce from the grocery store hardly. Glyphosates, Roundup, chemical fertilizers. I am the bee removal guy in this harbor. You know what that means? That means I get paid to harvest the bees and the honey that I get to go and they make me food. Then on top of it, what I want to convey to you on all 3 last one standings, even the new one, which I'm not on, I am the oldest survivalist out there. And climbing trees better than all of them, swimming rivers, harvesting beehives,
Getting the
and
honey.
I am the oldest. And I will tell you this, probably the least medicated. So what I'm getting at is this. At my age, people, and I don't know if you know how old I am, but I'm coming up on 58. I'm almost 60. And I
And
I live
mentally, I mean, age is really, in my opinion, mental. Um,
well not all because
that was, dude, that was just such a clinic you just put on. I mean, wow, that
well,
was
what I'm getting at this,
a
it's
clinic.
not all because you gotta put the good stuff in. So I focus on not eating glyphosates. I focus on not chemical fertilizers. I actually order my bison from a farmer that I talked to for 2 hours that's fed on grass, not sprayed with pesticides, with no hormones and antibiotics. My milk is raw. My cheese is raw. My kefir and my butter is all raw. Like, you're talking to a man who is, now you see the crazy guy on TV, but a man who is focused, and that's why I'm a teacher, and who actually does live off the land to a large degree. Don't get me wrong. I go to nice restaurants. I buy some groceries, but I also combine it and live off the land. And I'm going to give you guys a good philosophy. I'm going to give you a good philosophy. I learned this from one of my wilderness survival teachers, a man named Tim Corcoran up in Northern California. And this was beautiful. This set me free. And he said, people take it to the extreme. They think they got to go live in the hills and live like a mountain man and a homesteader. And then you got the ones that think they got to live in the city. And he said, because I don't know if you saw my video that I have of me dumpster diving and feeding 50 people Skid Row from a trash can. Yeah. So what I'm getting at is this. He said, find a way to make your life comfortable and free by blending them together. I'm a man who lives in the city, who eats the food off the land in the city. I don't got to go out to the hillsides. I don't need a garden. It doesn't make sense for me to even have a garden. I live in California. I live in a garden. The food drips off the land here everywhere. It's amazing. So a garden doesn't even make sense to me. And so I tell people this is where I got it on even the vegan, is I don't even buy fertilizer that comes in plastic bags that gets shipped on trucks. I don't contribute at all, because I walk the earth and I live off the earth all around me. I even went viral around the world for eating a dead baby dolphin off the beach in California. I ate a dead coyote off the road north of here. I ate a dead raccoon south of here off the road. Gary Golding walks this walk and lives this life and doesn't let waste happen all around him, and lives off the land in the city of Los Angeles. No, not the city, the county of Los Angeles. Now, imagine that, because people always ask me, how did you end up like this being from LA? And I'm like, and that's another long story. But there you go. This is how I walk. And I like people to see that. So the man that if they do follow me, and if they are fans of mine, they know that this man teaches children, sets them free, and actually does live off the land to a degree, even though he's in LA, which is hard to imagine. And that's what I do it to give people hope. And I do it at my age, which gives young people hope if they take care of themselves, and older people hope just because they get to cheer me on and go, wow.
Well, I can tell you that just from watching you and kind of putting one and two together, that if you weren't walking the walk outside of the shows that you're on, you wouldn't be able to do and get away with the things that you are getting away with, and know the things that you know on the show, even to the point where you see that you are able to consume certain things that make other people quite sick. Which, if people really want to watch your episodes, it's clear you are literally eating meat that people are complaining about the smell of it, and they can't. And other people who ate that meat found them very sick, and you just kind of burped it off. Which is so is it also that you have built a gut, a microbiome in your gut that is just superior to the average human being?
Yes, I try to literally, I view it as a training. Some people train their muscles, right? And train. So I literally do view it as I'm pushing it and I'm training my gut microbiome. So that way, and there's all kinds of proof. I don't know if you know, but they discovered like kimchi and fermented food has all kinds of stuff that it gives to your body. So I believe that also fermented meat and all kinds of things like that. That's why I drink kefir, right? And so I literally, what you're witnessing is a man who's also training his body, and because I did an interview before they inserted me on my challenge with Matt and the two girls that were fans, Molly and Blair. I did a whole
season 10, episode 7, right?
Yep, yeah. I did a whole talk about on the way in. I wish it would have made it to TV, but they can't fit it all in. And this is where you see the philosopher and the scientist of Gary Golding. I did a whole talk about how survival is also genetic, and it's right in front of you. And what I mean by that, a ginger let loose in the sun for an hour or two will get sun poisoned if it's direct sun pounding on them, and it's done. They're done. That's a ginger. That is a genetic makeup. Then I believe that that same thing, because your skin is an organ within you, also is a gut microbiome and then other things. And so it's fascinating because I was talking about how my genetic makeup, because my great grandmother was from Australia and she was part Aboriginal. And then, I do have a little Native American in me, but then a lot of people claim they do, but I have a little bit. And so I'm this mutt who's also Sicilian, which probably might even have some black in it. And then, so I've got, which Mediterranean, which we aren't allergic to gluten because they have had bread in their diet for so long and pasta. So, anyways, my microbiome and my skin, because I could eat sun all day for days and I'm still rolling. So there you go. I could eat sun. I could eat all kinds of food that people can't eat. And I will tell you a story. On that challenge, I came back with a bunch of vegetation that the experts told me I couldn't eat. By the end of the week, I was eating a bunch of it and picking on the experts that were out there with us. And then I go to Matt and I say, hey, Matt, you want to try some of this, like mustard broccoli stuff? And he said, oh, no, Gary. Here's what Matt said. Now, this is where it gets fascinating. He goes, I can't eat like plants like you, man. He goes, that's why I didn't take those figs you offered me on XL4. And I thought he was just being a jerk out there, right? And so he goes, yeah, if I even eat a salad, I get a scratchy throat. And I go, whoa, what a trip. Now what I want to convey is that explains why Matt is such a good hunter. And he's all about meat, genetics. And then I can eat plants, meat, sun, everything. I could probably drink filthier water. And so genetically, my makeup is more designed for survival. You know what I mean? In all situations, right? And so, yeah, I really believe that I'm training everything, because training even goes, they say to be in the sun, you don't just go out there right away. You really do need to start with a base tan and then build into it. You don't just step into it, which is the same thing with working out. You don't just start working out real hard one day and everything functions that way, from your intestines to your microbiome to your skin to your muscles. And I'm a guy that's aware of it.
And you're setting an example and a precedent, because I think, like kind of my question before was that we live in a world where people are so reserved, so worried, so anxious. Everything is a problem. Doom is around every single corner. And it really, like, if you're looking at life from the perspective of what is the purpose of life, it can't be to be walking around and looking over your shoulder everywhere you go and everything you do. And I think that you are one of the very rare examples walking around barefoot. Um, I think you're a
Look,
very rare example.
never, barefoot. I'm never not barefoot. I'm going to tell you a real story. Me and Matt are walking in Africa. He looks at my feet because everybody makes shoes out there and I'm barefooted. And he goes, Gary, do you just walk around everywhere barefoot? And I go, yeah, because I'm born at a beach and this is going to be fascinating. I go, yeah, because, that's my whole life from a child. I've been barefoot. He goes, yeah, because you're the only one that never makes shoes out here when we're out here. And so what I'm going to get at is this. It's a point of privilege, actually. I was born in a beach community, shoeless and shirtless my whole life. And below the 35th parallel, which I don't know if they say, but they say people below the 35th parallel have less cancer. And so I'm not deficient. I highly doubt I'm deficient in vitamin D, which most people are. And my feet are like shoes on the bottom. And a lot of people have weak arches. You know why that is? That's because they've been wearing shoes their whole life. So they never had to develop the muscles. Do you know why we have to have our wisdom teeth pulled? Because we're fed Gerber baby food from a child and it's soft, and now we're evolving so fast that our mouths are shrinking that we got to yank teeth out of our head. They don't got to yank the teeth out of the head of those tribes in Africa, because they start eating meat at a young age and their jawline spreads out and the teeth are actually functioning and usable. Doesn't that make more sense?
It does.
Then on top of it, you now have all these kids with electric bicycles. They don't even have to pedal their bikes anymore. So now the legs are going to get weaker jaws, weaker feet, weaker legs, and they're starting to, and weaker immune systems, because they're going to experience the outdoors like this. Look, like this. They're going to go, oh no, I don't need to go snorkeling because I could see all the fish right here. No immune system, no strength, no sunshine, no vitamin D. I literally designed my life because I don't know if you know, I do custom tours for a living. I actually am in the sun every day in the ocean and I'm exercising. I did this on purpose. I didn't want to be in an office under blue light. And so, and sedentary, which is the new smoking, sitting down. I made myself have a career where I can actually be in the sun, moving and living off the land and teaching it to others.
The reason why I was saying that it bothers me when people call you crazy or stupid or a child is because you are exactly the fucking opposite of that. You are an example for people to start living their life and stop bitching and complaining about everything. You also really put people on the spot. And again, if people are out there not watching Naked and Afraid, at least watch Gary's episodes because there's so much to learn about life, not about survival. We live in a world where, I actually, true story, I spent from New Jersey 6 months learning how to start fire, primitive fire, in New Jersey on my balcony. And my hands were annihilated. I mean, for just from this motion and not understanding that the motion is actually this way, just thinking to do this, and yeah, and and I destroyed my hands and built these
Yeah,
calluses.
otherwise, hey, otherwise you get blisters real quick.
Yeah, I did, which I did, and then learning that you can't use a hardwood on a hardwood, or you can't use a softwood on a softwood, and just it took me 6 months before I finally got a coal. But I did it, and I was like, how is it that we don't know how to do this? How is it that I'm 33, 34 years old, just figuring out on my own? No one taught me, no one showed me that, and it's funny because you go into schools and the agenda that they teach kids in schools, and it's good that you're that you're teaching and you're out there because I'm sure that you're educating people and children to things that they should be learning in school but never will.
You know what I taught? Oh yeah, you know what and what's funny, that's beautiful. That see, a lot of people think they don't realize friction fire is tough, right? And if you did watch the first LOS, I got the first three embers.
Yeah.
So when people say you don't know how to fire, I'm like, hey, the hard part is getting those embers. I just didn't make my nest good enough. That's easy to
It's
correct. And
also wet.
but
That was tough. That was tough.
oh, that one it was rainy out, yeah.
That was
So
tough.
so anyways, so I won't claim to be the fastest, but I know how to make fire. So anyways,
The thing
you know,
is, it's not about the fastest. It's about just having those things in your bag and like having
but
those.
now it's so funny you brought up New Jersey because you know who my first teacher was, in a sense, because I bought his book when I was a 13-year-old, and he's from New Jersey. You know who that is? Tom Brown Jr.
Okay.
You know Tom Brown Jr. is from New Jersey.
Yeah, he's pretty famous survival like instructor, teacher.
Yeah, oh yeah, one of
Yeah.
the most. And so so anyways, and then I took one of his courses up in Santa Cruz later on in life, and I actually took his book with me to my first Naked and Afraid challenge, in my backpack, and so and was reading it, and so and I bought it at 13, and so now oh, for example, I'm going to tell you something. I love that you brought up. So you know what I taught last Friday because I experimented and I know. Now, do you know the best way? I'm going to ask you and see if you have an answer. Do you know the best way to keep eggs for a long time?
Don't wash them.
Right. That's a good way. But I've been experimenting. I hard boil them, then I peel them, and then I pickle them, and I put them in vinegar. And I got one of those mason genie jars, and I suck the air out, and I put them in a mason jar, and I had them in my van for 6 months.
So you're talking about pickling. You're talking about pickling, right?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
egg vinegar, and I had them in my van.
Most people don't know. Also, was my point is that it's if you don't wash the eggs, there's a film that remains over the eggs
No,
that
yes, true. I know that. This is better, is
so
what I'm
people
saying.
don't know that any of this.
No, yeah, some people don't, and that's what I'm saying. This is better because in my car I did oiling of eggs. I oiled them with mineral oil. I also bought eggs off of a woman that were fresh out of the chicken, not washed off. So then I was going to put out the video. Man, I have so many videos recorded. I just don't have time to edit them. Then I boiled eggs. I put them in vinegar, and I let them sit in my car for months. The other ones went bad. The ones in the vinegar, I could tell they could probably last a couple of years. So I know firsthand, put those babies in vinegar and store them in a cool place, of course. So the other day on Friday, and the kids loved it, I taught a bunch of 5 and 6-year-olds and 2 4-year-olds how to pickle eggs. And then they take that home, and I said, we're not going to open them. We wrote the date. We said, we're going to open these in 6 months, or now you have emergency food. Teach your parents this, and then they'll go home and teach their parents. I said, because my kids, if anything goes down that I teach, they're going to be okay in an emergency. So I just taught that to these kids on Friday.
I mean,
This is what I do for a living. This is what I do for a living. I teach you how to not need. My goal is to teach you how to not need the government or the doctors or whatever if you can. Now, don't get me wrong; they'll come in handy at times, but I'm teaching you how to not rely on it. Hey, look what the government did for the people in Maui, the people in North Carolina, over here. They gave them what, $750. Look, man, no one's going to save you. No one's going to save you. And you got to view life like that. No one is going to save you. So I want people, my job is to teach self-reliance to the highest degree, right? And so yeah, that's my goal. Hey, look what happened when all the windmills shut down in Texas from that freeze. Did you see that just recently what happened in Spain and Europe?
no, what's going on?
Okay, a lot of people don't know what happened in Europe. Spain was bragging the first day they were on renewable energy. And so they were like, yes, a whole day on renewable energy. 6 days into it, the whole grid shut down. They had a huge blackout across Europe. People were
Yeah,
stuck in elevators. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So I'm telling you, learn how to live without that fridge. Learn how to live without that grocery store. Learn how to live without that government. Because, man, these people do not know any better than you, especially you're better than me. And so you better consider yourself smarter than them, because they don't give a crap. They're bragging about renewable energy. I'll tell you what's powerful and beautiful. You know what is? Fossil fuel and plastics. Now, you got a guy with this on him telling you plastics aren't bad. No, you're being lied to. You're being programmed. Fossil fuels aren't bad. And what I mean by that is this: when the wind's not blowing and the sun ain't shining, fossil fuel is most reliable. So what I'm getting at is this. Now, I tell people it's not black or white. You've been taught it's been black or white. Plastics aren't bad. And what I mean by that is when they first invented plastic, they made a bunch of hoses that saved a bunch of preemie babies' lives in the hospital. In the medical world, it saved lives. Plastics aren't bad because you know what they needed to drop in the center of Katrina during the disaster, Hurricane Katrina? Plastic bottles of water. They actually save lives. So what I'm getting at is this: it's nuanced. A hammer can bash a head in, or it can build a beautiful home. So it's not black or white. It's
yeah,
nuanced. So here we are with almost 8 billion of us, and people are complaining about fossil fuels, and without it, there wouldn't be 8 billion of us.
no,
So what I'm getting at is that's why it's how we use it and how much. So just let's all use, and it cuts all the debate out. So if you disagree with me and you go, no, fossil fuels are bad. No, eating meat is bad. I go, no. Let's cut the debate out. No matter what you're into, do it as little as possible. Take as little as you can. That way we don't get to argue, because then no matter what happens, at least we're all taking the least.
yeah. You've mentioned how you reuse garbage bags, how you reuse plastic bags, how you reuse water, if there's a way to reuse something, you're in there doing it.
I've had this bottle for months now. I'll tell you differently than you. I won't use plastic because it's terrible for you and the estrogens. So plastic is bad if you use it wrong. I use glass bottles, and I will have this bottle for a year or two until it breaks. Now, this is how I do my water. Even when I travel on planes, I go in with it empty. Now, I'm going to show you something. My battery pack that we have, I have you plugged into so my phone won't die for this. I keep it in a pistachio bag. So I find even the bags that I eat out of and the bottles that I use, I also find a way to use them for waterproof bags to take out when I go snorkeling with my pack out in nature, and I give it to my clients to say, hey, here's a bag to put your fob in and your keys and your cell phone. So you're talking to a man who definitely what was I going to say? A lot of my pants I wear I've had for like 20 years. And then those white shirts that you see me wear that say consume as little as possible, I buy them all at the Goodwill. So I very much
Can people is there a way to get those shirts from you? Like I couldn't find a way to actually buy the shirt. Maybe I just missed it because I'm
if you go to my merchandise page on my website, and then there's direct instructions, but
how did I miss that? I have no idea. But so we can go to your website.
Check it out, those white button-up shirts. Now, what I want to convey, because I'm so practical, this is how I work. So I pick white button-up shirts because you don't wear sunscreen, and so it's white and it runs cool in the sun and reflective, and then it has a collar, so when the sun's low, I pop that collar up. And it protects my neck, and then wind could get in if I open it if it's hot on my chest, but also it has my message on it, which carries a message to the world, which also when I'm teaching the kids have that in front of them. So that shirt is very functional. It's very functional. So my branded look is all about function, really. And so yeah, I like to tell you that because you're interested in a shirt. Now you know why I wear it and how it functions. And then you go, okay, this actually has a higher level of function. Gary's so thought out. I'm far more thought out than people could imagine. So it's not just that I like white button-up shirts. No, I picked that shirt because in the function of nature, it's incredible.
Yeah, practicality. So
Gary, and then when they get dirty and old, I get them at Goodwill. I just get a new one.
I want to fan question you just for a minute. Number one, who was your favorite partner ever on Naked and Afraid? Can I?
Timmy the turtle.
Timmy?
Timmy the turtle. You know Timmy the turtle?
Well, it wasn't a person.
Oh no. Yeah. Remember the little turtle I got and I let him go?
Yeah.
Timmy the turtle. But I would have to say I would have to say Blair. And I'll tell you why.
Wow, I thought you were gonna say Max.
No, but I liked being with Max. Me and Max got along, beautifully. And we accomplished some good stuff together. Blair, because Blair came into it with no ego. Man, usually sometimes a woman and the men, but they'll come into it with, I don't want to be being told what to do by a man or by anybody. Even a man doesn't want to be told what to do by a man, right?
For sure.
Everybody's got their egos up so high.
Yeah.
Blair knew that I had experience in Africa. And she was like, Gary, tell me what we need to do. And I said, all right. She didn't go in there being like, I'm not going to let somebody. Yeah. No one's going to tell me. Right. And so I said, okay. And so she was an extension of my knowledge. And I said, okay, cool. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to watch out for this. And she was like, okay. And it's that easy. Most of them don't make it that easy. But then at the same time, Blair was talented and skilled and good at stuff I wasn't. So Blair wasn't too above. She would sit there, man. I don't know if you know, because I don't know if it comes through on the challenge, but we got that dead wildebeest. Betsy, I think I named it. And we made shoes out of it. Well, Blair took all the hairs off of it. And those hairs on a wildebeest are like wire. And she made rope and cordage out of it. So then I had laces on my shoes, and Blair was crafting things and doing stuff. So while I'm out there you know, she's holding her end where she has all these other skills, and she was so sweet. And the thing about it is, me and Blair have like separate spectrums, sort of maybe if you want to call it politics. But I have very liberal views in a lot of areas. By the way, like I'm ordained. I marry gay people. You could also
Yeah.
sterilize them through teaching. So, anyways, now we got along amazing. She was able to didn't dwell on any of that, and just we just loved each other. And man, so she was the most egoless, receptive, beautiful human being I was ever with, Blair.
Okay. And now I have to ask the juxtaposition question, which was, and I don't want to word it like who's your least favorite, but who was the most difficult person to survive with for you? Is that a fair way to word that?
Yeah, as far as a partner, because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Who was the most difficult person for you to survive with?
there's some challenges where I did it where some of them were an adversary, right? Um, so like me and Patrick were pretty adversarial, right? And so I don't even know if I would consider Patrick was never a partner, right?
No.
So I'm gonna focus on partners. Well, uh it would probably be a point of,
When I say
well,
difficult, let me just help you a little more because I know it's a crazy question I'm asking you, but what partner that you had out there made it the harder for you to survive and for you to make it through your survival challenge? That's
okay,
kind of what I'm asking you.
I'm gonna answer that in a way where, like, my partner Kara on my first challenge fell apart on day two.
Yeah.
Um, she also rolled her eyes and looked at me like a child, when I was out there doing Tarzan yells and having fun, being positive, really. But I love Kara. She was she was just really out of her element. And and I see people trying to be strong, and so sometimes we overcompensate, right? And so I've even overcompensated at times, I'm sure. And so uh then you get into, I would have to say that the most difficult, I'll tell you, the most difficult to really work around was Danny. Okay, and I'm gonna explain why. She was a vegan in Africa.
Yeah.
Now, I benefited from that and I didn't, because, like, say for example, that warthog, I always boil my meat out there, and I get a big chunk and I boil it, and me and Fernando could have ate that all night long, and the next day take another big chunk and boil it again, and I know how to make that last for a month in a pot. So now Danny wouldn't let us put any meat in the pot. So
Oh.
my very form of preserving meat and handling it was cut out of the picture, because she couldn't even have the meat
Well,
in there, and we eat it and then we boil the water, because she couldn't even have the
well, that
meat
was
even.
that was you guys conceding too, though. That's a respect on your part. You could have very well put the meat in the pot and said deal with it, but the fact is that you're respecting other people's
Look, I'm trying to work with people, so yeah, I'm nice about it. I'm being good to my partner, but that did make it difficult. She took my primary way of preserving meat and took it away from me. Now, I'm going to break that down for you. Um, uh,
I mean,
so
hold on, just to kind of gear, just to drive you in a direction. Are you really looking at these 21-day challenges, or even the Excel challenges that are 40 days? Even there's been 60-day challenges that the show's pushing now. But are you really looking at this like I'm actually really out here surviving, like for real? Or are you still understanding that like, okay, I get to kind of leave here whenever I want? And there's going to be food and shelter and more and all these things waiting on the other side. Are you really in the headspace of I'm out here surviving, especially with all the cameras around you and all of the things going on? Like, what is your headspace there?
Well, okay, that's a great question. Everybody has a different one, and that's what I like that question, because yeah, that's why I tell you, no one delivers caveman life or death like me. Like, I'm eating maggots.
Yeah.
I'm
Climbing up trees and putting your hands in friggin' beehives, which is
yeah,
also absolutely insane.
I'm being stung. I'm eating maggots. I'm
Eating
I'm
dead animals.
I'm finding dead animals and eating them. And I'll be honest with you. So I really do. Sometimes I do have conflicts with the other survivalists because they won't eat it. And I'll be like, where is the dominoes? Like, what do you know that I don't? Why won't you eat this? Like, so, which is
Because it's
insulting to
not,
them.
because it's probably not really seriously in their heads a survival situation.
That's my point. Like, look, look, on on the last LOS I was on, LOS 2, one of them that you saw on TV was a vegan. Another one was a carnivore diet. Okay. Those diets are civilization diets. Why the heck are you bringing your civilization diet to a survival challenge? I'm a caveman. So what I'm saying, so the one carnivore wouldn't eat honey because it had sugar. And I was like, that's civilization. So the indoctrination, the programming that these people come in with is from civilization, and they're bringing their civilization diet in, and then Gary Golding standing next to him going, what are you doing? Like what are you doing with that? And I mean it. Like, what are you doing? Everybody has their preference. No, this ain't no preference. This is caveman. Are you one or not? Like, let's just get real with this. And so that's a threat to them. And so I'll give you something that never made it to TV, but I'm the only survivalist that has his name on 3 episodes. Gary of the Jungle, Gary's Journey, which is a 2-hour episode about my journey through Naked and Afraid, and Gary Eats All the Things on XL7.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Gary eats all the things. I ate the tongue, the penis, the brains, the everything.
Yeah.
What they didn't show is what they did not show is that alligator. I made it last 10 days, and I was getting sticks and sticking them down in the spinal column and pulling out maggots and eating the maggots off the stick while Max and Amber watched me. So then I did my saying. I said, "You're not really a survivalist." I said, "No." What do I say? If you won't eat maggots, you're not really a survivalist. If you won't eat maggots, no. If you won't eat maggots, you really don't want to survive. If you're not willing to eat maggots, you're not really a survivalist. And I said that to Max and Amber. So they go, "All right, Gary, give me that stick." And they each ate like 2 maggots. And I go, "All right, stepping it up a notch. I like it." Now, that never made it to TV. I wish it would have. But so I really do. Oh, there's another scene in that XL7. Amber actually talked me into it, eating the raw eyeball of the catfish. That was her idea. But then she tried it and she almost puked. So what I'm saying is, and everybody out there tells me, I don't have your stomach. And I'm like, yeah, you don't. But but then they'll try
But
to
that's been my point about like you and being in my humble opinion, which again people could go in several different directions. In my opinion, I think you are the one out of anybody I've ever seen on that show that's actually out there really playing the game for real.
Yeah, and I want to tell you something. So now, so that's why when they talk crap, I'm like, really? So you don't view this as a strength at all? So you got your civilized. This is why I brought in the civilization people.
But again, you're out there, Gary, like doing. You are caveman, like all the way. So I'm actually in a survival situation where when you see
Yeah.
most
Look,
people out there,
that's what I'm going to convey. Look, that's what I'm talking about. So that's why I was getting to. I got a carnivore who won't eat honey and sugar. I got a vegan that won't eat meat, and so you broke my train of thought there. And so I'm delivering life or death. I'm delivering free of any programming and indoctrination from the civilized society. So the people judging on the television are call me crazy because they're coming from a couch and civilization with a fridge. they're not even, some of them aren't even absorbing the lesson. And so I'm training myself, and they can't view it as strength for some reason. Now, another thing that you did not see, which I'm bummed didn't make TV, is on that LOS2 is not only well,
LOS2 being last one
I don't
standing.
know if it really showed that I'm not just eating the honey, I'm eating all the larvae. And I taught them to eat the larvae. Now, another thing you don't see is that I'm actually oh, this is what me and Patrick fought about. I just wanted to go taste a little piece of it raw because I was real curious. And so I actually started eating those antelope species in Africa raw. What you don't see on the one with Matt and Molly and Blair is I stopped boiling my water. I dug a gypsy well in that dry riverbed where the elephants came out into, and I started drinking from a hole straight. So I'm drinking my water. Matt and Molly wouldn't do it. They didn't want to risk it. And I said, well, that's good. We'll just have to boil less water. So I try to drink the water without boiling it. I eat the meat raw, literally raw.
Yes.
And I'm trying to be as animal as I can, as caveman as I can.
I really wanted to talk about because people who did see LOS, which is Last One Standing, which is not so much an individual survival challenge or a partnership survival challenge. It's they take all of you guys who have great experience and they pin you against each other in a competition. And one of the things that I think is the most relevant narrative on any of the Naked and Afraid shows or seasons is how Jeff was handled in LOS 1. And how his strategy kind of backfired on him, and how you were actually the only one that really saw kind of what his mentality was and were willing to be flexible to how he was playing that game out there. And I did feel, and again, correct, I'm coming as a fan right now, so I appreciate you giving me fan time. I did feel like I did agree with Jeff on a lot of narratives, which would be very, very unpopular, but he wasn't wrong, in my opinion, in what he was saying. The only problem he had was that he played LOS in regular season, right? He had that mentality of competition even when he didn't need to in other episodes where he was quite literally rubbing it in people's faces how successful he was. And I think that that's what translated over to LOS, and not that they were mad at him for playing the game there, but that they already had a sour taste for him. How come you didn't share that and you were willing to compromise with him? On the show, they say that, they make it seem like you're being smart and just playing the game and taking advantage of all angles, but I don't think that was really the case for you. I think that, you have a different perspective, and I would love to hear it.
Yeah, well, the perspective is Jeff, he just was in love with competition. And I was like, and so he still played within the rules. Like even when he upset Steven, he said, I could have taken that pot and I could have thrown it in the water. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, I mean,
Steve,
but he didn't.
yeah. And Steve got upset. So Jeff was reminding him, actually, look, I'm not that bad of a guy. But the message was taking the other direction. And I was like, yeah, because the rules, Jeff had a broader rules that he could have been more saboteur. But so I was like, you know what? I just view it like the Constitution of the US. You're allowed to say some really foul stuff. And so I was like, we all know the rules, man. Jeff's playing within the parameters of the rules. I'm like, it is the game. You can't knock him. Like I'm a free speech absolutist, so therefore I'm like a game rule absolutist. I'm like, hey, and I'm 20 years old. I'm 20 years older than Jeff, so I'm like, hey, the kid, he's having fun, man. He wants to play the game like that, and that's why you see me. I'm not emotionally attached, but then as a game piece, though, that's why you see me talking to his partner Stacy to eliminate him with her. Because if he's going to be the one stealing and the other ones aren't, I'm like, okay, I got to get rid of this game piece. To me, it's just a game piece. And I'm like, okay, if she's going to go, let's get rid of this guy. And then I don't got to worry about anybody stealing from me. And then I got rid of that piece because that's the most threatening piece, the one that's going to steal from you, right? So I'm just looking at it like kind of like from a perspective like as a game. I'm
It
in
seemed
the
like
game.
you're the only one not taking things personally, and that's part of my what I'm trying to say here is it didn't seem like you ever got personal about any of it. And why do you think it is that everyone was taking it so personally there? I mean, it was a competition show. I mean, why did everyone band together as if it wasn't a competition?
But here's why. Because a bunch of us knew each other as friends, and I think that interrupted. You got to remember, Steven, Waz, Dan, Matt, all survived together in the Amazon for 60 days, something very hard.
Yeah,
And then,
Jeff was there too.
and then, and then, and then I was partners with Matt. I've probably been out there with Matt more than anyone. And, and then, so we're friends and it's hard to cutthroat each other. And so, and we all, this was a groundbreaking, a new thing. And we got to go like, oh man, like we were like, we don't want to, we just don't want to do that to each other. But Jeff loves competition so much. And so what made me, people thought Jeff was being bullied, but people forget that Jeff, he showed his cards right away. I don't know if you remember, he yelled, I'm getting all your get out to the forest. And so we said, okay, so it's like that. Now we know who to get rid of. That's all that is. That's it. We're all playing the game too. That's what they don't, that's what, for some reason, the audience doesn't understand. It's like, okay, this guy's the threat. We all got to get rid of him because he's the biggest one who's going to be the threat to all of us.
But
So,
it was never personal for you.
no, for me, I wasn't personal. In fact, you did see me in that challenge, sit down with him and say, hey, you ever think that like you're missing out on a few things by being the way you are? And I told him nicely. And
Yeah.
and what I meant by that, because as an audience, what I want to fill you in on is this. Everyone was there and they got a lesson on how to harvest a beehive. You know who didn't get
Jeff.
that lesson?
Yeah.
Jeff didn't get to learn how to harvest a beehive. So he missed a lesson. Not only that, you see as an audience member 10 or 15 minutes of no honey. What you don't know is Jeff didn't get honey for I think it was like 3 or 5 days. He's starving. So people say you're not playing the game. I'm like, are you kidding? That's playing the game. And so then you see Matt go out and get 45 frogs. 45. And Matt comes back and he goes, hey, I go, what the hell, dude? And he told me how he got those frogs. And I don't know if you remember, I went out and got 23 the next day and fed me and Waz. I got that lesson. I learned how to catch those frogs from Matt. Then, so you see us eating frogs. Then we proceed on, and then you see them get that Impala. Well, you see 10 minutes. Jeff didn't eat Impala for 5 days. So now, Jeff, what you don't realize, people say, well, they're not playing the game. And for some reason, they separated food by starving someone as like not fair, not playing the game either. No, that was allowed. We're all playing the game. And so I tripped out on Jeff and I got a lot of respect for him because I was like, what you don't know as an audience member, this guy is like 11 days without food while we're eating honey and Impala. And man, he's still going with a smile. I'm like, holy crap, this kid is strong. But we're starving him. We are starving him. And I had people saying, yeah, you're not playing the game. And they were accusing me of not playing the game and playing both sides. And I said, not playing the game. And you got to remember, he cut himself with that saw and needed stitches, remember? And then he boiled his foot and poured boiling water on it while I'm in camp. So I'm thinking, he's getting a little dizzy, right? So I said, not playing the game. You're talking to Gary Golding. I'm sitting there looking at him, waiting for him to drop dead because I'm going to eat him like a serial killer. Like, come on, I'm playing the game, man. Are you kidding me? Like, no one's playing the game more than me. I'm just eyeballing, starving him. And then I'm the type of guy that'll eat that guy. I'll eat him. So it's like, I don't know where you're coming off that I'm not playing the game. And so then also the same guy that was trying to get Stacy to get rid of him, come on, I'm playing the game better than anyone. Then what they miss out on, but then you see me sit Jeff down. I'm sorry, I branched off. And I tell him, you ever think you're missing out on a few things? And what I meant by that, you're missing out on the honey, the lessons about the honey, the frogs, the lesson about how to kill the frogs, because I saw him trying to pummel them the way we all were until Matt taught me how to do it, which was way better. And then he's missing out on he's missing out on all kinds of things, but he doesn't know it. So that's why I sat him down and said, hey, maybe if you had a different approach, you'll be eating more and learning more. And he didn't want to do it. And I said, okay, cool. And I was just nice about it. Like I offered something up. So I was just kind of like, just being, kind of interested and caring, but at the same time going, okay, well, make your bet. But you have to remember, I also let him use my bow when he was thinking about sabotaging Matt's hunting grounds. Now, the thing is now I had two men out there hunting as I delegated Jeff. So either one of them gets an animal, I'm eating. So there's 200 working for me while I'm kicking back sleeping. Like, come on, who's playing the game the best?
Yeah. No, it never felt personal, which is something that I really found important and admirable for me, which is that you were out there, you doing what you were doing, but nothing ever seemed personal, which leads me to my last topic and question I want to talk to you about, which is,
hold on. And on that note, you see me and Jeff are still friends.
yeah, I mean, you were just with him, right? In Australia.
Yeah, me and Jeff laugh about it. I'm like, yeah, I'll take your ass out. He told me, Jeff told me how on the other last one standing, which never made it to TV and all those interviews that they do with us, how he was calling me like I don't know what I could say on here, a pee-whipped. I was whipped. He was saying I was whipped and this girl was running me and just ragging on me, right? And then I'm ragging on him, but we tell each other when we get out how we were tearing each other apart in interviews. How we're bagging each other, and we just go, oh, dude, that's good. Like when Jeff, this is the funniest part. Remember, he finds that fishing asset, and he's all, yeah. And I was looking for it, and then it turned out to be a trick. He never found it, and
Yeah.
So when we got out, because we got out on the fire together, me, him, and Steven, and we're eating together. He goes, yeah, dude, I faked that. There's nothing in that thing. I just wrapped up a couple sticks and I'm all, oh man, that's good. To me, I was like, that's good. I'm cheering him on. I'm like, yeah, man, try to get me, let's do it. So to me, I'm viewing it as a fun game. It's where you put your mind. And if you're viewing everything as personal, guess what? Not only are they in your head, but then you also, and it's messing your time up out there, then there's like, it's almost like you're working against yourself, I think.
Yeah. Well, in LOS season 2 is where we see actually it getting a little personal for you, if I'm not mistaken. There's definitely moments there where you feel slighted, disrespected. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what your mentality was there and why you seemed to
Oh
be
yeah, definitely. You got to remember, I went out the night before and I found that water hole.
You did find the hole?
Yeah, I found it.
But the take of the participants was heavily that just
No, I
because
know.
they were
I
going to
know.
find it anyway without you. That was like, right? The general consensus was, well, just because you found it doesn't mean I owe you anything, nor does it mean that I wouldn't have found this without you eventually. Anyway, so what do you think
Okay, yeah, we could all say that. The fact is I found it.
Yes.
Okay. Not only did I find it, I knew exactly where the catfish were, so they didn't have to do all the scout. I was there for hours. Hours, so I knew exactly where the catfish were.
But you told everybody about it because you didn't have the means to catch the fish yourself.
No, that's not why.
Uh,
No, that's what.
Well, that's what they make it kind of seem. No, they make it seem like you didn't have the tools to catch the fish.
No, no. That's the way the other contestants spun it. Come on,
Yeah.
I think they're gonna do.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. That's the way that it was painted.
Oh, that's the way they spun it.
Yeah.
That's my point.
So what was
now you know why I acted the way I did. That's my point. So I found it. I found the catfish where they're at. I found out there was a crocodile. I found all the footprints of all the other animals. I found it. So I take them to show it to them. Now, this is what I talk about with Blair. Now we got all these egos that are like, oh, look at this guy. They wanted to find it together. You see, I didn't know that. They didn't have me as part of that meeting. So they were all drained from, I think, a competition that day or something. And I was like, hey, I want to go to this water hole. I'm going to go looking tonight. Well, so they're all resting, getting ready for tomorrow. I didn't know that. I wasn't part of the conference. They should have included me. They didn't. So I have no idea. So I go out there and I find it. I'm like, whoa, this is rad. And it's beautiful. It's so rich. And I'm a sharing guy. In fact, on that same challenge, I shared my kill. They didn't. So you could say I did it because I didn't have the means. I had the means. I made a spear. And we had bows and arrows. You can get catfish with that. So they tried to say because they had fishing assets, I didn't have the means. That's not the only way to fish, my friend.
No,
So
of course, but they really painted it that way.
that of course they did. Of course they are. They have to. This is my point. That's why you saw me throw a fit. So we get out there and I show it to them, and they all stand back. They all stand back. Trish and Dan, none of them want to be near me because they don't want to have to give me a high five and thank me on camera. Okay? They don't. Look, this is what I'm saying. I'm talking about Blair. Blair didn't have this ego. I'm out there with a bunch of people trying to be the badass, and they don't want you to be the guy. I'm telling you, that's how they operate. So even the women do. And so they were like, oh man, let's just stay away from Gary. You notice. So I told Jeff, the catfish are over there. Remember, I was doing that? Throw the net in over there. And then Jeff's waiting because his team, Jeff's trying to be above it. He's kind of caught in the middle because his team is like, no, just let's stand back and let's not give Gary this credit. So I picked up on it. I was like, look what they're doing. They're doing this on purpose. They're resentful because I wasn't part of this meeting that we were all going to find it together so no one gets that one reward. So they couldn't just give it to me and give me 5 and go, thank you, Gary. That was so hard for them to do. That's why you see Jeff over there and you see me yelling and screaming, throw it in the water now. Because now I'm like, check these little wimps out. So now I'm going to act like a general and be even more bossy. And I'm just going to throw all the cards off the table and ruin the game. I'm at this point, out of principle, I'm just going to be a jerk. Okay. So that's why you see Jeff. Jeff is okay with it. Remember, he's standing right there, and he actually says to me, he goes, Gary, I gotta make my team happy. And if you notice, he was nice to me the whole time. He never held a grudge. He because
That
he
never
understood.
seems to be personal, like personal with anybody in any of these. I mean, I'm a
No. That's personal. I'm personal on this, and
no.
so
Talking about Jeff never seemed to be personal,
no,
especially with you.
no. But I'm personal. I'm getting personal. But Jeff, he understands, and he's like, me and Jeff are so tight. He's like, Gary's just Gary, man. He's just
Yeah.
doing it.
No,
He's
but
like,
they definitely pissed you off. And I
well,
was
yeah.
just,
So hold on. Out of principle, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this really uncomfortable. Now, I'm the type of guy that doesn't care if the world likes me. You ever seen the movie 300? And he said, our air will blot out the sun because I know the fans aren't going to like me. And the response is, then we will fight in the shade. Like, I'm just a guy that, this is the one problem that other survivalists even have with me. I'm the guy that genuinely does not, my image on the show, on the challenge, is genuinely the guy that doesn't give a shit what people think about him. Now, you know how freeing that is? Now, it's harder for me to get sponsorships and sell knives and crap. People are like, I'm so unpredictable. People don't know what to do with me. Even the network is scared of me. I ate the dolphin. They didn't talk to me for a year. I had to tell them, hey, so hold on here. You bring me on because I'm wild and crazy, and then you're bothered because in real life I'm wild and crazy. so anyways, it's like, man, make up your mind. That's what the fans want. That's what makes me good at what I do. One thing that you will never see from me, and I want to point this out to you as a person that likes what I do and all the fans out there, you will never see me harm an innocent. You won't see me lay my hands on a woman or a child. Those are the only 2 things I give a shit about on this planet. The rest is all fair game. I'll get in a fight with a man. I'll choke his ass out. I'll argue with them. I'll get into it with the world. I'll speak up against things, but you'll never see me harm the innocent. The rest, I don't care about. I own it all. I'm a wild son of a bitch. What are you going to do? What are you going to hold against me? There's only two things that count: the innocence. I don't touch women and children and even innocent little animals. The rest is fair game, my friend. So I'm crazy in the funnest way, but I'm a protector. Let that be known. I want you to know that.
I
So
just
now
I get
here's,
this word crazy is just I don't know, man. Like when you even you saying it about yourself is like I don't know.
yeah, look, I'm being the audience perspective. I'm just eccentric.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
But
operate and
I
I
just want to
operate
make it very clear. I don't think you're crazy at all.
hold on. And I operate out of principle. So what you saw was principle. And that's why I just said, okay, you guys are gonna feed me and you're gonna hate me while you're doing it. Now I want to fast forward. Now they all hated me and resented me. What what you what you failed to see is, so later on, I shared my kill. I shared. I was like, here, man, this is for everyone. Now, later in the line, I lose everything. Remember, I lose everything to Jeff?
Hmm.
Guess what? He was fishing with that casting net. He brought the fish back to his camp. You didn't see him give me the fish. Kai cleaned it. Jeff brought it to me and I ate it. Then Jeff gives me that big leg and he gives Pat and
Hmm.
Dan little bone, that
Yeah.
bone. So it all played out, my friend. I was literally laying in my shelter and they were feeding me just like I said.
Yeah.
So now they acted like I didn't have a way to catch it because they kept saying on camera, because they know how it works. They kept saying I don't have a way to get fish. And I kept arguing, dude, an arrow and a spear that one I made with the acacia thorns, which uh was really the best spear I've ever seen made out in the wild. That those acacia thorns were so amazing for getting into fish. Too bad I didn't get to use it. Um, I had ways to catch fish, so I kept being like, "What are you talking about?" I couldn't understand their obsession with these knives either. And anyways, yeah, you saw them paying it as though I didn't have a means to get it, but I'm Gary Golding. Like,
Yeah, no, I never would have imagined you don't have a means to figure something out. My question was is what why did it bother you so much that they went about it the way that they did? Like that was my baseline question is what because it's hard to get you riled up. I mean, you people have said and done crazy things around you that I personally thought were not ethical or fair. But that this seemed to really get you going, this one. And I was
I'll tell
wondering,
you why. Tell you why. Out of principle, it's I saw this really petty behavior that couldn't just be like this. This is all I really wanted. We all want to be appreciated. Just this. Good job, man. Thanks, Gary. That was rad. Cool. Let's eat. You know, I didn't do it because I didn't have what. Look, you could say I did it because I didn't have a means of my own. Think about it. I did it because I gave them all away to eat. I showed them in the fridge. Like, if I
how,
really,
but why is it that you think they have such a problem acknowledging that then? I mean, again, what I'm
I'm,
doing right now is not,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
telling you, these survivalists out there have huge egos. That's what it is. And when I
So,
see your ego kicks in that hard, then it's my job. And the way I roll, I'll just jack that up. I'll become the biggest a-hole you've ever seen. I'm kind of known for that. It's like, oh, really? Oh, we're going to be this petty? All right. All right. I'm just a reflection of you. Let's get petty then. I'm the pettiest one that exists. If we're going to do this game, I'm a reflection of what you are. That's why me and Jeff reflect certain things at each other. We're like, hey, I get it. No biggie.
Last thing I want to get you guys, there's an episode where the bugs are just absolutely annihilating everybody, and you're like trying to like eat them, and you're like, I love it. And you're bringing it, the consciousness there of I want more, when you're being tortured by these bugs was something that I thought was just so absolutely profound because it really, the consciousness of I'm being tortured by these bugs, bring it on, give it to me. That really
Yeah, what I'm trying.
what a switch to flip there.
Yeah, what I'm trying to convey to the audience is you better have this mentality or you're defeated. What I'm trying, because I have to do that for myself, really, not necessarily for the audience. I'm doing that for me, man. If you don't think that way, and that goes to my stomach. A guy that, okay, I'm going to give you an example. There's an episode with a guy in Belize where I was at. It was Trent. He had to eat a tarantula, and he was like, "Well, down the hatch." When Gary Golding is like, delicioso. It's
Yeah.
all in the mind. Maggots are delicious. Tarantulas are amazing. They're palatable as hell. So the bugs are beautiful. Like that's what I'm trying to convey. My feet are like shoes on the bottom. My gut microbiome. I'm training everything. My mind, my feet, my stomach. So when it comes to eat, I look like everything's delicious while they're going, ugh, and
Yeah.
almost vomiting.
Yeah.
Right. That's my point. So because what'd you bring up again?
No, what I was saying is the bugs. When the
Yeah,
bugs were just eating
yeah.
everybody.
So you better sink into it and you better like it, because if you don't, you're gonna hate it and you're on your way out.
Yeah. That's kind of one of the greatest things I saw from you ever. One of the greatest things I've ever heard someone say on television. Does it make it actually easier for you if you embrace it? Do the bugs actually
Well,
stop biting you as much?
life is gratitude. I tell people I get to do this. I don't have to do this. So when my car has a flat tire on it, I don't go, "Oh man, I got a flat tire." I go, "Hey, I'm lucky. I got a car."
Yeah.
All right. Like, we all complain about gifts. Everything is a symptom of a gift. You got a broken heart. Oh, wow. You got to make love to someone for a while. All right. So here's the deal. It's like, you got to get in that mindset. I got bugs on me. Yeah. Cause I get to live in Africa. I mean, come on. It's like, without, in fact, I just taught this yesterday to these 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, and we got into it. And I came up with the killer line: "You don't get the honey without the bees."
Yeah. That's
And I think someone else, that's an old quote, but
yeah.
they told me it. You don't get the honey without the bees. And what I was telling them, if you want to enjoy the fish in the water, you got to get cold. You got to get salt water in your eyes. And then I gargled a bunch of ocean water and I spit it out. And I said, I love the salt water in my mouth. I love it in my eyes. I can open my eyes underwater in salt water. And I trained for the sting. And I like the sting. You better love the pain, because man, you'll have a lot more adventures if you do.
My last question there about the bugs. When you have this consciousness of I love it, I want more of it, does it become less? Do the bugs stop biting you as much?
Oh no, they can.
Okay. The consciousness doesn't affect the surroundings. You still
It
deal with
affects how you'll feel like they're biting.
how you're dealing with it, but it
You'll
doesn't actually.
you'll feel like they're biting you less compared to the person who is more miserable. They'll feel like they're biting more. It's all in your mind. Not all in your mind though, because there's the physical realm. Just like you said, age is only how you think. No, but it's also there's the physical aspect of your diet and your movement and your vitamin D and your sunshine exposure. So same with that, where there's the physical aspect, but your mind is going to handle it better if you're just like embracing it.
Yeah. Again, it was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen someone do or say on television.
Yeah,
Um,
you're talking about when I was sucking them all in.
yeah. You were literally trying to eat them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's genius. Anyway, Gary, you took a lot of time out of your day for me. Again, thank you so much for this early birthday gift. You are a treasure. Um, Anything that I can do or say here for anybody like nonprofit that you're working with, or what can we say?
No, here's what I could say. I could say, check me out at Tarzan of Los Angeles 1, on the end of it, 1, on Instagram. If you Google Tarzan of Los Angeles, you'll find me all over the place. And I do custom tours right here in California, man. You want to come on a California adventure? I got some really good ones. We snorkel, we kayak, sometimes we even go on a sailboat, depending on what you really want to do. And so check me out at tarzanoflosangeles.com, Gary Golding /tours. And if you want to learn more about me, Gary, go to my website, Gary Golding /about Gary. And that's where you see a whole list of what I've done. And then I also teach children. I do assemblies. I travel around. I do assemblies at schools. I've done them in New York. I've done them in Washington. I travel and I do assemblies for children too. So if you want me for public appearances or anything, hit me up. I have a good little Instagram. Well, I don't usually share my teaching one too much because I like to leave the little kids. That's for parents that kind of come to me.
Yeah, that's good.
I have on my Tarzan of Los Angeles stuff and Gary Golding of Naked and Afraid on Instagram. I mean on Facebook is where you could kind of find me and where I announce stuff and you could see what I'm doing. And I want my audience to know that I want you to reuse, recycle, ride your bicycle, and refuse to abuse this beautiful planet we live on. And let's not forget the most powerful sentence known to all humanity: consume as little as possible. Because if we all did this today, the planet would be cleaner by tomorrow. And that's what I want to say, because this is my purpose. This is why I exist. It's tattooed on my back. And below that, it says in fine print, it's about cooperation, not competition. And I'm here for the children and the animals of the world. And I walk that walk. I live that life. And if you do follow me and believe in me, I do it. I live it, and that's what I am. And it's important to me that you know that, especially you, my friend, and those of you watching, because you are expressing so much gratitude to me. And man, you drive me, and I want you to know you're following a man that cares about the right things in the world. Okay.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you.